Hey guys, this is Spoonie, and I'm back with the latest issue of my DC Deluge series. So I picked these books up for about $5 each at my local dollar store, which where I live in Canada is the Dollarama chain. Now, is $5 a great deal for these books, or is $5 still paying too much? Let's find out. Okay, so the first book I have is DC's New 52. It's the Earth 2 series, Volume 4, The Dark Age. This volume collects issues number 17 through 20 and the Earth 2 Annual number 2. I'm going to be honest, I did not really read this because I actually also picked up in the past Volume 3 and Volume 5. So I am going to read them all. I don't have Volume 2, but I do have Volume 1, but I should be okay. I'm going to read them all and I can do a little review if you want to see that. Anyways, I do know that this is the first volume of this series with Tom Taylor taking over as the writer. Previously, it was James Robinson. Now, I know Tom Taylor wrote a lot of the Injustice comic books, which were based off the Injustice fighting game. And he did a good job writing that stuff, so I want to see what he does with sort of mainline characters. But the idea of sort of an evil Superman is something he's proven that he can write well. The next book I got is DC Rebirth Era Action Comics. This is Volume 2, Welcome to the Planet, and it collects Action Comics 963 through 966, and a backup story from the New 52 Era Justice League, issue number 52. This is another book that I haven't read because I haven't read any of the Rebirth Superman stuff. I really do want to kind of get the full thing of it before I really get into it. I do see that this volume is written by Dan Jurgens, who has a great history with the character. The art looks really good, but without having read the book, I can't tell you how well it actually suits the story. The next book is DC Rebirth Superman. This is volume 5, Hopes and Fears. This collects Superman issues number 27 through 32. Again, this is a book I have not read. Like I said, I haven't read any of the DC Rebirth Superman stuff, like from Superman Rebirth and on. And I do understand that this particular run with this character by Peter Tomasi and Pat Gleason is quite good. I know it's been collected into like omnibus volumes. I do have a couple of the other volumes, but this is a series that I feel like I really want to get the whole thing before I start reading it because it sounds like there was a cohesive plan for their run on the title. The next book is DC Rebirth's New Superman, and this is Volume 2 coming to America. It collects issues number 7 through 12. Now, as I understand it, this character and situation spins out of the Superman Rebirth story, which, as I sort of keep mentioning, I have not read. But I don't know how vital this is to the sort of the overall ongoing Superman storyline. I did pick up volume 3 of this book in a recent video in the past. So perhaps I'm just going to dive into this one because as far as I can tell, it doesn't really have a connection with any of the main Superman books. The fact that this book is coming to America, and then I think the next book they actually go back to China. So at least I know that this doesn't seem to be set in Metropolis. It's got the Chinese Justice League, and I think they're doing their own thing there. Next, I've got DC Rebirth, Detective Comics. This is Volume 4, Deus Ex Machina. This collects issues number 957 through 962. And it's broken record time again as I have not read this title. Like with the previous Superman title by Tomasi and Gleason, as I understand it, James Tynion, or however you pronounce his name, he had a sort of really good run on this title, and it was very well kind of thought out. And I do have a lot of the other volumes, but I don't think I have his complete run yet. But this is something I'm looking forward to reading. Every time I pick up one of these books, I always kind of flip through it. I'm really intrigued by the fact that sort of Clayface has kind of joined the Batman family, although I know it is temporary. Again, this is something that I want to get to when I get more of the run. Next is the Joker original graphic novel by Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermeo. I actually covered this in one of the last DC Deluge videos, albeit that was in the form of an Eagle Moss Collection edition. This is the actual original OGN. So as I believe I said the last time, this is a really cool story. The art is good. The plot is it's actually centered around this sort of henchman who drives to pick Joker up when he gets released from Arkham. And because of that, Joker forms a bond with him. And at first, the guy thinks, like, oh, this is going to be pretty sweet. I'm like this guy's right hand man. I'm going to get respect and power. But as he gets closer to the Joker, he kind of sees what kind of person, Joker really is. And it starts to become frightening. Anyways, this is, again, a really good story, a really good sort of character piece on the Joker, and definitely worth $5. Next is Green Lanterns, Volume 6, A World of Our Own. This collects issues number 33 through 39 of the Green Lanterns series. So I did actually read this one, despite not having read much of the other issues from this title. Now, it does seem like this volume does contain the first issues of writer Tim Seeley's run on the title, so it doesn't hurt that it's a starting point for him as well as me. Anyway, despite not knowing much about this title, I actually really enjoyed the read. I know very little about these two Green Lanterns, and so it was kind of cool to learn a little bit more about them as they were learning about more from each other. And it's interesting to see how they how they use their interpretations of the ring versus Kyle Rayner or John Stewart. The story is basically about these two Green Lanterns who rescue an entire species of aliens off of a dying planet, and they relocate them to a new planet, but there's already people there and it causes friction. Now, this could have been just a great one and done story arc, just sort of highlighting these characters and sort of exploring a little more on the depth of them. Or this could have lasting ramifications and be part of a larger storyline. But it as its own read was very satisfying. And so yeah, this I'd say it was worth $5. The next book is Justice League Odyssey. This is Volume 1, The Ghost Sector, and it collects issues number 1 through 5. Okay, so my first impressions before even reading this book were that they're definitely trying to sort of reference the 1988 miniseries, Cosmic Odyssey, written by Jim Starlin. I mean, the fact that it's both titles have, Odyssey is a big part of them. And in both books feature a team comprised of Justice League members who were actually put together by Darkseid to stop an even greater threat. The lineup is even kind of similar, like in Cosmic Odyssey, they had Batman, and here they have Azrael, who's, he was the replacement Batman for a bit, and he's part of the Bat family. And in Cosmic Odyssey, you had Green Lantern John Stewart, whereas here you have Green Lantern Jessica Cruz. So I definitely think they were trying to sort of harken back to that title with this one. Anyways, this is apparently set after the Death Knight's Metal event, which I have not read. So it was a little interesting trying to kind of put together what was going on in this book. but I got a pretty good idea of how Dark Knight's metal played out, and it was fairly easy to follow the storyline despite, not having any kind of knowledge about what the status quo of the DC universe was at the time. Anyway, in the story, Darkseid has assembled this specific group of heroes that he needs to help him save the multiverse or whatever. And Azrael's not actually supposed to be there. I think he snuck onto the ship that they used to get out to meet Darkseid. I want to try to avoid spoilers here, so I will just say that some of these specific characters play into some types of prophecies that some of these alien cultures have. Is this worth $5? Yes. Would I have paid more for it? Probably not. Next is DC's New 52 era Wonder Woman. This is Volume 5, Flesh. And this collects issues number 24 through 29 and the Wonder Woman number 23.2 Firstborn special. Now, again, this is one of those books that I haven't read because I'm waiting until, I had the whole run of this particular series before I start reading it. And aside from volume number 2, I think I now have the first 9 volumes of the New 52 Wonder Woman. I think the first 6 of which are specifically the Azzarello run that I'm waiting to read. I knew during the New 52 era, DC was putting out these .1 and .2 issues, like Wonder Woman 23.1, Wonder Woman 23.2. I think 23.1 was the Cheetah, and 23.2 is Firstborn. I have no idea who Firstborn is. I'm guessing that's the issue that will introduce and explain why he is a threat to Wonder Woman. Here I've got DC Rebirth era Wonder Woman. This is volume number 4, Godwatch, and it collects issues number 16 through 24 and Wonder Woman Annual number 1. Now, I believe this volume is actually set in the middle of a run. This is written by Greg Rucka, who has a great history with the character, so I expected this to be good. And that's why, despite not having read the first 3 volumes, I just wanted to get into this, and I was not disappointed. This is a story that introduces Veronica Cale as a new ongoing threat to Wonder Woman. Basically, what happens is these 2 gods show up and mess with Veronica's daughter. They steal her face in order to sort of draw out Wonder Woman. And so this woman now hates Wonder Woman with a passion, blaming her for her daughter and also for not being able to heal her daughter. Oh, and the pages collected from Wonder Woman Annual number 1 was a cute little story about the first time that, I guess in the DC Rebirth era, the first time that Wonder Woman met Superman and Batman. The 2 were together trying to scope her out, unaware that she knew that they were watching her. And then she kind of introduces herself, and I mean, we know the 3 become close friends, so again, this is just kind of a cute little story. My next book is Wonder Woman the Cheetah. Now, I didn't actually realize, because I was getting so many books at the time, that I didn't check that this is actually sort of an anthology. It's a collection of older issues. I kind of figured based off of the cover art that it was like part 1 of the more recent books. But I actually did enjoy reading through a lot of this. So the first issue collected in here is Wonder Woman number 6 from 1943. This is the first ever appearance of Wonder Woman villain, the Cheetah. She was Priscilla Rich, a sort of high society socialite who became the Cheetah to sort of take revenge on perceived wrongs against her. And I think that would included Wonder Woman for looking more beautiful than her or something. The issue did have some questionable stuff in it, and I can kind of see why, looking back, this some of the claims being made about it are kind of true. The next issue, or actually 2 issues, are Wonder Woman number 274, Wonder Woman number 275 from 1981, and this is the appearance of the second iteration of the cheetah. This one was Debbie Domain, and she was actually the niece of Priscilla Rich, the original cheetah. Basically, what happened is while visiting her aunt, Debbie fell over and hit her head not once, but twice. And then somehow she came to believe she was the cheetah. And so she went on a bit of a rampage. And of course, Wonder Woman eventually subdued her. The next issue is from Wonder Woman number 9. This is from the 1987 Post Crisis series. First off, the art by George Perez is amazing as always. Now, this is the specific issue where sort of the most popular current version of the cheetah, Barbara Ann Minerva, this is where she becomes the cheetah. And this is the origin that's most closely linked to the cheetah now, where through some sort of exposure to some kind of ancient African tribal god or something like that, she's bestowed with the power of the cheetah. This version of the cheetah is really cool because this is somebody that actually kind of knew Wonder Woman. They were sort of friends before she became the cheetah. So it adds this extra level of sort of personal drama to the situation, as opposed to there were actually 3 prior versions of the cheetah. The third one was her last name was Belastros or something. Anyways, whereas those 3 were just kind of like random villains, this cheetah had a more personal connection. So definitely more interesting storylines can come from that. The 4th story collected here is actually a 2-part crossover. The first part is in The Flash number 219 and is written by Jeff Johns. And the second part is Wonder Woman number 214 and is written by Greg Rucka. Before anything else, I just want to say that the artist for the Flash issue, Justiniano, um, he's not a very good person. Some decent artwork, but that it just clouds everything. Anyways, this crossover had the Flash villain Zoom meet the Wonder Woman villain Cheetah. At the time, this is leading up to Infinite Crisis. There was a sort of Villains United kind of secret society of supervillain type thing that both of these people were a part of. And the whole thing behind Zoom is he tries to subject the Flash to tragedy in order to make him a better hero. So what the cheetah did was she sought him out and, said, make me better, teach me how to be faster. So that definitely kind of ups the ante, making the character more powerful. And at the time, Wonder Woman had blinded herself while fighting a Medusa. To avoid being turned into stone, she kind of cut out her own eyes or whatever. They were in the process of healing, but she was kind of blind at the time, which added an extra layer of kind of danger to the whole thing. It's a great little story that led into Infinite Crisis, and like I said, aside from that particular artist, I think this holds up. The 5th story in here is another 2-parter from the New 52 era Justice League number 13 and number 14. This storyline is basically just updating the cheetah for the, at the time, modern DC universe, the New 52 era. I think they just wanted to highlight from the jump what a lethal threat the cheetah actually is with her speed and her power. The fact that her power is derived from magic, which means she can harm even somebody like Superman. They wanted to make her kind of like an A-level threat right from the jump. In that new 52 volume Wonder Woman that I just talked about previously, I mentioned that they had done these like point 1 and point 2 issues to highlight some of the villains. The next story collected in here is from Wonder Woman 23.1. And it's just kind of really more establishing the background of the New 52 Wonder Woman. Whereas in the Justice League titles, we saw, what kind of a threat she is and what kind of a challenge she actually poses to the Justice League. Where this, we get more information about sort of who she was and how she got here. The next story is from the Rebirth era Wonder Woman issue number 8. And this is basically the DC Rebirth era reinterpretation of the character, um, where she was someone who was always like an archaeologist, motivated specifically by finding Themyscira or any trace of the Amazons at all. And it shows us that she's willing to go to great lengths to achieve her ends. And while we don't actually see the transformation within this story, we're left with the notion that this is sort of immediately before she becomes the cheetah. And so this is just delving more into the character and her personality. And finally, there's a cheetah profile page from Who's Who in the DC Universe number 4, 1990. Obviously, this is terribly outdated. Oh, a complaint I have about this that I probably should have mentioned at the beginning is that there is a table of contents, but the book does not have numbered pages, worth $5. And then there's Wonder Woman Earth 1. This is Volume 1, written by Grant Morrison with art by Yannick Paquette. Now, this is the origin story. I'm so tired of hearing the Wonder Woman origin story told and retold countless times. I get that he had bigger plans for this series because this definitely ends sort of her emerging in America. So presumably volume 2 of this will actually sort of have a little bit more development. This was not a particularly strong read from Grant Morrison, but Yannick Paquette, the artwork is amazing. I love that there are pages where everything, there's not really any panels, everything is just kind of like flowing together and stuff. If you've ever seen the Scott Snyder Swamp Thing from the New 52, also had Paquette doing the artwork, and it was really awesome there too. Is this book worth $5? I mean, yeah, I guess so. The art's nice, but the story is quite boring. Okay, so that's it for this one, but the DC Deluge continues. So grab your board and get ready to catch the next wave, and I hope to see you there. Bye.